A reading from the first book of Kings. The Lord said, "What's he doing here, Elijah?" Elijah replied, "I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty. But the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I am the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me too." "Go out and stand before me on the mountain," the Lord told him. And as Elijah stood there, the Lord passed by, and a mighty windstorm hit the mountain. It was such a terrible blast that the rocks were torn loose. But the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake there was a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire there was a sound of a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his cloak and went out and stood at the entrance of the cave. Here ends the reading.
So sorry, bear with me. This is all in the course of research, I promise you. I've been wondering, you see, what is the most important bit of a party ring? What makes this the classic biscuit? Why is no child's birthday party complete without them? Could it be the crisp primary colours icing? Or is it the crunchy, hydrogenated fat-enhanced crumb that forms the base? No, I don't believe it's either of those things. So, what is it? What makes a party ring? Have you worked it out? Can you see? No? Perhaps if I come closer. Do you see it yet? That's right. The secret of the party ring is the hole in the middle. That's what you pay your money for. That's what gives it the edge over your bourbon, your Jaffa cake, or your custard cream. The secret lies in the hole. Balderdash, Chaplain, I hear you splutter. Poppycock, bunkum and codswallop, you are talking nonsense. The hole is the bit where there is no biscuit, and I certainly don't pay my hard-earned money for nothing. I get precious little return for the money I dole out to my children, and I'm certainly not going to trade honestly earned cash for thin air. The secret lies in the hole indeed. Do you take me for a fool? Look, I do understand your scepticism. I appreciate your objection, but let me see if I can persuade you. Don your white lab coat, put on your safety goggles. We're going to do an experiment. You are telling me the hole in the middle of the party ring is nothing, just a circle of emptiness, not worth a cent. But now, marvel as I prove to you that actually the hole is really something. Watch carefully. Whoa, did you see that? Amazing! When I move the biscuit, the hole moves with it. And if that wasn't enough to persuade you that the hole is a real part of the biscuit, we can try a second experiment, and this one is conclusive. Pause the video, rush to the corner shop, and you could do this with me at home if you want. Behold, all ye doubters. I bite this biscuit in half, and half the hole has disappeared. And now, as I eat the whole biscuit, the hole has wholly disappeared. Holy hell, isn't that amazing? We often make the mistake of thinking that absence means emptiness, that a gap or a pause is simply nothing. But perhaps we should think again. Emptiness is one of the most powerful things we can possess. Back in history, at some point before 1740 BC, somebody in ancient Egypt invented the concept of nothing, a written symbol to indicate emptiness. The symbol was called nufr, and as we would call it, zero. Have you ever thought what a revolutionary development that was? Because before this random Egyptian came up with nufr, there was no way of expressing what was at the centre of a party ring, or what was left if you had two sweets and then took both of them away. The invention of zero was not only of critical importance for the development of mathematics, it was one of those ideas that changed the way people thought. Once you invent the concept of zero to describe an empty space, That which you previously thought of as a nothing suddenly becomes a something. You give it a mathematical symbol and a name, and the nothingness suddenly becomes important, something you can use. If I'm doing maths and I take 6 things, then multiply them by 0, my 6 things have suddenly disappeared. How weird is that? Nothing is powerful enough to wipe out 6. Many of us will feel we've spent a lot of time doing nothing recently. Trapped in the house, locked down, we might be feeling tense, restless, resentful. "What have you done today?" your dad asks. "Oh, nothing," you reply in a gloomy tone, as if hanging around with nothing in particular to do, letting the day run its own course, has been a completely negative use of time. Really? Have we forgotten how much we used to moan about being overloaded, stressed, and far too busy? Doing nothing? It would have sounded like heaven to me back in January. Religious traditions have something to say to us here, because they have always valued emptiness and silence, seen the space as something rich and fruitful, space to discover truth, space to discover yourself, space to discover God. Our mindset is to think that nothing is the same as emptiness and waste, a vacuum to be filled with activity and noise. If there's silence, we stick our buds in our ears to drown it out. If we're alone, we immediately search out company. If there is a mystery, we seek to explain it. But in the Bible reading, Elijah learned that God was not to be found in the rumble of the earthquake or the roar of the fire, but in the stillness and the silence that followed them. God was not the mighty detonation, but the barely audible whisper. In the same way, the Sufi Muslim poet Rumi, who lived in the 13th century, wrote this: "God works with nothing. The workshop, the materials are what does not exist. Try and be a sheet of paper with nothing on it. Be a spot of ground where nothing is growing, where something might be planted, a seed, possibly, from God."